Welcome to Travel Tuesday, part of the Beard Bros Media Network, where culture meets industry. I'm your host, Brian Applegarth, Director of Sales and Marketing for the Cannabis and Hemp Tourism Division at J&S Next, a full-service creative agency and media hub serving destinations. Whether you're a seasoned cannabis or hemp professional or just beginning to explore the space, you'll find insights and inspiration here on Travel Tuesday. Today's guests are Veronica Nova, welcome Veronica, and Mariano Escobar, the co-founders of the World Cannabis Tourism Guide Certification Program. Mariano is also the founder of the World Cannabis Photo Cup. Welcome both of you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having us, Brian. It's really a pleasure being in your podcast with you.
Thank you. Well, Veronica, let's start with you. If you could please just give a little bit of an introduction as to who you are and what inspired you to start getting interested in cannabis tourism.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm a Colombian cannabis woman. So I do belong to this beautiful organization of women that we grow, we extract, we work somehow in the cannabis industry, and we help each other building safe networks around us, of course, through ancestral medicine, but also through scientific research. So that kind of really empowered my passion that I've always had since I was 14 for ganja. Now, I've been traveling, I've been visiting many places, getting to know cultures. My background is in anthropology, but I've also been doing some project management for big industries. So just being able to promote the professionalization of an aspect of the industry that is already there is very important for me. I think going through education is what gives us standards to actually stand behind our sacred plant and destigmatize it. So right now, tourism is a reality, but we need to do it right. We need to do it right so that everyone believes us and stops the exclusion and stigma. And that's why I connected so much with this certification, because I think we can empower other people. We can empower local communities through education, having high standards for offering this service, and of course, making it safe for the tourists.
Wonderful. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Mariano, how about you? What has your journey been, and when did you get very inspired to dedicate more time to cannabis tourism?
Okay, well, thank you so much, Brian, for this space. I don't speak very well English like Berito, but I'm going to make my best work here. I'm studying right now, so I am a student of the language because I love the travel and learn languages. So, well, I'm Mariano Escobar, for the people who are listening and don't know me. I'm from Ushuaia. Ushuaia is the most southern city in the world. After my town is Antarctica. So the people who want to go to Antarctica is really famous, my town, my city, around the world for many touristic. So I grow with the tourism. I know how the people want to travel, what they want, how we have to keep it. And I love the sustainability in the tourism, how we can keep the nature working in this space that I think 10 years or more started. But now, in this moment, when I start traveling around the world, I found that we need to teach and we have to learn more about how to keep our space of the cannabis tourism, because it's growing very fast, it's growing a lot, but we need to teach how to work in this industry. The tourism for me is the most bigger of all the science, because all the science are inside of the tourism. So, well, my passion started in this way, traveling and working in the cannabis tourism industry of many years. And my father, was a grower, a biochemic who really worked with seeds. So my passion started very early. But when I start to travel, I found another passion, because I start to know that many people have very beautiful projects around the world, and I want to connect this project with the people who are in the world trying to find these places. So we need social media place. We need to professionalize the people who are working in this industry. So I think we have a very beautiful and long work, but we are together. We are a very big team, and day by day we are finding more people with the same passion. So I think it's a pleasure to be here with you, Brian. You know, but the people don't know, but we were trying to be in contact many times, and we don't drink one coffee, we drink four coffee speaking about tourism cannabis. So for me, it was a really pleasure to know you and to have this space. And to work with Berito is my partner in this project and is my friend. So I love her and I love to work with her because she knows how to do it and is the most important. So, well, was a really long my presentation, but this is um, how I feel in this moment the cannabis tourism.
Thank you, Mariano. Yeah, and tourism is a very interesting industry, right? It's very global. And now, with many countries, many states, many provinces, many destinations are either medically legal or recreational or adult use 21 plus legal. So you have medical tourism, you have leisure tourism, and of course, cannabis is this plant that is very grounded in wellness and well-being and all these experiences. Now, your certification is very special because it's very focused on being a good steward, a good cannabis tourism guide. So can you tell, please, both of you, could you tell us a little bit more about the core mission behind your tourist guide certification program? What was the mission? What is the mission?
Benito, you want to tell or I can tell? You speak better than me this part. Okay.
Well, sure. Our mission, our core mission, of course, always, and I think as stoners and believers in the plant, before anything, is to actually spread the word and the love for this plant and for what it can do to anyone. Now, of course, talking about the certification per se, our aim and our mission is to professionalize an activity that it's already being done, but make it right. So, Brian, you were saying something very important. Tourism is being worldwide spread right now. Cannabis tourism is being worldwide spread. However, there are specific regulations and little details. In some cases, there are gray areas in some countries for residents and for tourists that our tourist guides need to take into consideration before planning anything. So we can provide the knowledge, the tools, the international connections, and this way our tourist guides will be able to design safe and unforgettable experiences. Not only, as you were mentioning, in the leisure, recreational way of consuming cannabis, but also in wellness, also in education. There is a lot going on in educational tourism and also luxury tourism. So Thailand right now is, for example, becoming a great pioneer in this kind of cannabis luxury tourism. So people are not only going for smoking the flowers, maybe seeing the plantations, but actually smoking really great grown buds with amazing VIP experiences that can take you through these paradises of countries. Now, it is very important to mention that authenticity and respect for cultures is fundamental. So not only are we wanting to spread the idea as a business, but also as a way to empowering, again, local communities. Showing authenticity is not the same to go to I don't know, cannabis limousine in California than going to a company and seeing how a lab works for extractions in Colorado, or maybe going to the mountains in El Cauca, Colombia. It's completely different, not only for the tourist, but also for the guide who is preparing that experience and making sure there are no legal liabilities, health liabilities, and of course, getting this experience to be unforgettable.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. How about you, Mariano? As far as the core mission, how do you see the core mission behind the Cannabis Tourist Guide certification that you
Okay,
created with your partners?
I'm agree with all that Berito say. To promote the culture of the places, of all the places that we are traveling. I don't want to make Thailand in Argentina. I want to make our culture in Argentina, promoting our places and trying to show how we live in our country with our tourism, and showing that the plant that we can grow and we can smoke and you can travel, and don't only smoke, because now the luxury places are growing a lot. The people are searching good quality, are searching places that can be in luxury places, but not luxury. Yes, luxury, but there's a medium between that what the people are searching. I think the people search safe places, legal safe places, because the people can smoke in the street. The people who smoke don't have problem to smoke in the street, really. But if you go to another country, you want a safe place, or if you want a wellness place, you want to go a place that the people tell you about this place. So I think the work for us is very important, because we are the most important tool that we have to work is Instagram, and Instagram is censoring all the projects that are working in the industry. So we have a lot of things to speak about this. One is to promote the culture of the places, is our mission. The other one is to keep our culture, promote and keep our culture. And the third mission is that the people who are in our certification, when finish our certification, really understand the meaning of the certification, that is the sustainability, to be a really professional guy who know how to promote the culture of the places. Because the people who finish our certification in one guy of Colombia, maybe after travel to Costa Rica or to United States, and he has to understand the culture of these places to work in this moment. So
Right.
I think it's very interesting. We can talk a lot of time about this, because it's all new and it's all old, but we can do whatever we want in this moment, trying to work in the correct and legal way. We have a lot of great places, but we can do very good works. So, well, this meeting I think is so important for this. It's part of our mission to connect people around the world who are in the same symphony and frequency, and have the same value, and want to really grow in this, not only economic, really grow in a good way.
Yes. And it's a very interesting time, because with now cannabis legalization in different places, you have this legal experience that is now possible for visitors and tourists and residents, with cannabis lounges, cannabis tour operators. In California, we have some licensed cannabis farms. And so it's a new experience product for the cannabis travel audience. And I'm gonna lead into the modules here. I'm kind of teeing up the next conversation, because I imagine when you're a tourist guide for cannabis, one of the most important parts is the onboard of who is your client, who is your visitor, who is your tourist. Are they new to cannabis? Are they looking for wellness solutions? Do they smoke? Do they not smoke? What are all, so let's dive into the modules. So the certification that you guys have created with the other experts, which I want to talk about as well, has different modules that take you through and get you certified as a cannabis tourist guide. So let's talk a little bit about module 1, knowing that there is an audience called the cannabis travel audience that's been studied for about 5 years now, where people are attracted to certain experiences and therefore they're attracted to certain destinations, and they are wanting to go invest in some kind of vacation or tourism that revolves around a cannabis experience. So module 1, design and planning of cannabis experiences. So talk to me a little bit about what that module does to help you become a certified cannabis tourist guide and why that first module is important. Veronica, let's start with you.
Benito can talk because she's the teacher of this model.
Oh, good.
Well, Brian, you couldn't have said it better. This module is about understanding the psychology of the traveler. So it's not about the experience per se, it's about who is going to have that experience. We need to identify, well, as a tourist guide, as a designer of that experience, as an operator, you need to understand that psychology. What motivates them? What boundaries do they have? Do they have any curiosities? Do they have any specific interests? Are they going more for the learning, for the leisure, for the wellness? Do they have any medical conditions? That could be a different kind of profiling if you were to be offering medical wellness cannabis tours. So from there, we are able to build itineraries, blend education, culture, entertainment, and safety, always respecting local laws, customs, but focused on this psychology. So during the module, these are 5 modules. It's 20 hours, the whole certification course. On this first module, we identify, kind of categorize these kind of travelers, but we also make sure to understand that these categorizations, as well as humans, can overlap. A person can be interested in different things, and this kind of makes the guide a psychologist themselves. So yeah, that's what we do. And this is the first module, because the idea by the end is that this student is able to actually design from zero to actually presenting the project. And we will go through it as we talk about the modules. So they will be able to completely design an experience and present the final project as if it were going to the public, which in fact for many of our students it does. So this first module sets the ground for what they will be doing. And then through the other modules, then we start adding up different details and tweaks.
Wonderful. And something you sent me prior to this Travel Tuesday episode is, for this module, it teaches the tourist guide, the cannabis tourist guide, to build itineraries that blend education, culture, entertainment, safety, while respecting local laws and customs. I thought that was really well kind of summarized in what you sent over. Well, let's jump into module 2. So after you finish module 1, where Veronica is the teacher, it goes into module 2, which is history, culture, and global regulations. So Mariano, why don't you share a little bit about module 2 of the certification?
Yes, of course, yes, because I'm going to be the new teacher of this model. So I have to practice in English. I am not going to teach in English, but I'm going to teach in Spanish with all my love, trying to learn about the experience of the students and trying to teach my best experience and what I am really study about all my work of law and the global of this law, because when the people start to speak about cannabis tourism, it's a global science. It's not local. So I want to give all the tools and how they need to know, how they have to understand the legally of all the countries. And we are going to give to the students class to class the actuality. So that is very important to talk about. Is important because the student, they are not going to see a record class. It's alive. So the students who are in our class, the next class, they are going to have all the actualization of the law around the world. So for us, it's very important the legal way, because if you want to make a good experience, we can be very smart and to think that the people is the only that they want is not only smoke. We can really plan with the legal way and be trying to be smart how we can make a nice experience without smoke.
Right.
Then if the people found the cannabis in another way, but we are not going to teach this part because we have to make the experience of all complete. So how is important the law and historical significance of cannabis, so they can contextualize for travelers in where we are. So when people came to my experience, I have to teach which is our law, how we work, and how it's changing. Because, for example, if one guy of Thailand now is a cannabis tourism guide, the law is changing.
Of course.
So they have to be in with all the information. So, well, this is my part, and to teach this part of the law and the cultural context.
Yeah, it's a very dynamic space, to your point. I have a quick
Yes.
question about hemp. You know, many places have legal hemp. And how do you look at cannabis and the evolving conversation around legal cannabis destinations versus legal hemp destinations?
Well, I do have a very cool example of this, and this is in Uruguay. So we all know that Uruguay, yes, it's the first country that legalized the use of ganja, which is wonderful. But actually, as if it was as it was the first one, there were a lot of loopholes. There were a lot of things that were not considered when the law was written. One of those specifically were tourists. So actually, as a tourist, you cannot buy or consume cannabis in Uruguay. You actually do, and there are coffee shops and there are places, and just the usual thing is to do it. But legally, you wouldn't. So of course, entrepreneurs and industry pioneers in Uruguay had to be legal to be able to own businesses. So I was able to run into a very nice hotel that they were building. I went there like 2 years ago because this was recent, 2 or 3 years ago. And the whole hotel was all about hemp construction. So the beds were made out of hemp, all the things in the spa, the oils, any service that you would receive would somehow include anything. Hemp oil, or the sheets were made of hemp, or the shampoo had some kind of, and that just gave the whole vision for the tourist as an immersive experience, which was wonderful. On the other hand, another experience that actually was very interesting. This was not so much as a tourist experience, but many people traveled to get to it. So it kind of became one, were the courses on hemp construction in Mexico.
Wow.
One of the pioneers is Stephen Clark. I'm sure, Brian, you've heard about him. And he's done wonderful things in hemp construction. And he actually goes around different countries of the world teaching how to do hemp bricks and all of that. Yeah. So given the fact that he travels into some specific places, then this becomes a touristic experience. Example, he does it in Mexico, but he does it in Tulum. So a lot of people goes to Tulum. That becomes a whole thing around this education. And it's a different way to see hemp and to actually understand it, because normally people don't understand the difference. And there's not. It's a plant, but the use and the fiber and the genetics of it, the phenotype, are a little bit different. And that can, of course, be used as a tool to talk about this plant, to open ways for the plant to become part of the conversation way beyond being a drug.
Yeah, great point. I think, in the travel industry, from what I've witnessed over the last 10 years, sustainability is a really important topic. And hemp being one of the most powerful renewable resources on earth is a really interesting place. And I see more and more of these immersive kind of hemp environments in hospitality continually serving as educational platforms of all the ways this plant can promote wellness, really, and sustainability and balance and all the principles that that hemp and cannabis, which it's interesting to me how we have two different words for a plant that is essentially the same plant, just different cultivars of the same plant, right? All based around that altering psychoactive compound and how that, but all of it part of travel, to your point. So let's move on to module 3. Module 3 in the certification course is safety, health, and responsible use, which that really sticks out because I think a lot of tourists, they may have their first experience, and that first experience could be the overdoing it and have a horrible experience with THC especially, or it could be a really wonderful, and so it's such an important touch point in this new kind of landscape we have with legalization. So please, Veronica, why don't you jump in on safety, health, and responsible use, and tell us a little bit about that module. And Mariano, of course, chime in and please add color and let us know more about this module.
This module is super important for us. As we've mentioned, we want to educate guides on doing things responsibly. So this one is fundamental. From personal experiences, going through different fairs, going through different events, I've sadly seen people who actually really take bad trips, maybe because they weren't well oriented on what to use or not, but their first experiences were sadly not the best ones. And this was because of lack of knowledge, not only from the person themselves, but also from the people around them, friends or guides or whoever they were with. So for us, it is very important that our guides know how cannabis can be used, what effects it may or may not have, and most importantly, how to act if anything happens. Because we definitely need to think on the worst case scenario. Guides need to know there are a lot of responsibilities and liabilities, and we're talking about somebody taking a group of people or one person as a guide through an experience. So definitely there is some responsibility. You're playing with, you're not playing, you're actually handling a person's health and soul. So they need to know about dosage, methods of consumption, potential risks, and about the person. That's why we started first with psychology, and now we're going into health. This module is in Spanish, and of course in English it would also be taught by a doctor. So this is not some random person telling you, hey, yeah, if you get a bad trip, go drink a glass of milk. It's actually a doctor telling you how cannabinoids may interact with different kinds of people, what kind of preventative actions you may take, and what kind of reactive activities you should have in real case scenarios, from anxiety to overconsumption, always prioritizing the health and the comfort of the traveler and knowing what to do in case there is a bad trip. Now, our doctor, I really love him, I really admire him, but we're not about telling people what to do and how much to use and not. These are just simply guidelines, but for the guide themselves, for the student, it's important to know that there are tops, that there are dosages, that there are numbers, and that there are risks that they need to take into account.
Thank you. Mariano, anything you'd like to share about safety, health, and responsible use, Module 3?
Well, I agree in all what Veronica said because we work together, so we have the same vision about this.
Right.
The vision is another thing that we don't speak, but the mission, after I want to add something that I don't say in the first part. But about this module, about safety, health, and responsible use, I think it's very important to know how to teach the student in different scenarios, because if you have a group that one guy is very has a lot of experience consuming THC and he wants to come to your experience and consume THC, and there's one guy who don't know anything about this and is in the same trip, and if you don't control this, or if you are not showing all the group, maybe one guy in one moment is a little bit white, is starting to feel very bad. So we really want to keep the people who are taking this experience, because it's going to be funny and it's going to be a great moment if you know how to use it. So maybe if it is your first time and nobody say anything, you go and smoke or eat muffin with muffin with THC, and you have a very bad moment. And if nobody say, maybe you eat 2 or 3 muffins, and it's really going to be a very bad experience. So I think it's very important to know the responsible use of the cannabis in this opportunity, because the same that Berito say, we are waiting the best moment, but we have to be prepared for the worst scenario. So, well, I think the people need to come to know our teacher. The name is Lucas. He's a medical nutrition medical. I think it's very interesting to know this class, because we are going to learn a lot about this doctor medical. It's very important if you want to work in this industry, like a tourist guide, to keep your group. So this is the most important. If you don't know about history, culture, if you don't know anything about another thing, the most important is to know how to keep the health of the group. So this is the focus is in this module. All are very important, but for me, in my opinion, this is the most important of the certification.
Thank you, Mariano. And of course, the THC has the altering, but there's these other, CBN, CBG, CBD, CBC, all these other therapeutic applications, which are wonderful starting points for any new tourist trying to understand, right? So let's move on to Module 4, Communication and Hospitality. What does this educational module offer in your certification course, and why is it important?
Well, tourist guides always have to interact with people, so communication is crucial. What we teach here is how to communicate better. We teach from the moment of having small groups or having bigger groups. So the module separates the course into handling different types of groups, how to handle emergency situations, how to handle disorganized situations. We know that sometimes we consumers, we get in parties. Maybe they smoke a joint, maybe they have a cocktail, who knows? Maybe it's a bar hopping cannabis store. You don't know. You do know because you're planning it, but then you need to be prepared on how to communicate certain rules. Or maybe you need to be prepared on how to communicate certain boundaries, or actually the authenticity of the place that you are visiting. We want to make it sustainable. We want to make it respectful. So that's also something that has to come from the communication, being able to build trust with the traveler, but also with the local communities, because we're visiting, we're tourists, we're bringing groups of people to a place that is receiving them. So we need to communicate with our travelers, but also communicate socially with local communities. Guides must understand the different expectation, different communication styles, how to be inclusive, how to understand maybe if not everyone who comes to your tour speaks your same language. How can you handle that? What if a person who comes to your tour has some kind of communication impairment? How can you handle that? The specialist in this group, Maria, on this module, Maria Barragans, she is a specialist in communication and hospitality from Spain. She actually has worked in many of the Barcelona clubs and magazines focused in cannabis. So she's an expert of this, and she will be able to guide our students into becoming experts on communicating with their travelers.
Wonderful. Thank you, Veronica. Mariano, anything to add?
Only to add for me is that the communication, I think, is a universal way that we can teach, but the hospitality is the local way. If you go to Colombia, the people are going to receive you in a way that you are not going to forget anymore in your life. When you are arriving to the place, you can smell the food, you can smell the you can see the smile who is in the in the back, and the special food, and how they do all, and I can't explain because you have to feel.
Yeah.
So I think the hospitality is depend the places where you go, and this is very important because to keep the culture, it's very important to know how to receive the people. So
Absolutely.
because the first impression of the person, you don't have a second opportunity.
Of course.
So you don't have a second opportunity to do it well. So the hospitality is the way to keep your work. Because if you communicate well your project, if your hospitality is good, the people are going to return or are going to speak about your project and are going to return to your project or kind people. So it's very important this part, because in a moment of censor, this part of the hospitality is how we can. I think that we are how we can make feel others. So if I can make feel very good the group who is coming, they are going to return. So, well, only this.
It's experiences. No, this is the business of creating experiences. And that's why it's such a special time in history with legal access to cannabis experiences. And it's so different from Prohibition era, no? Because it's just curated experiences that are available to tourists and visitors, and they're already happening. So how about module 5? Now, the 5th module of this certification course for the World Cannabis Tourism Guide certification, if I'm saying that correctly, is marketing and sustainability. So tell us a little bit about the marketing and sustainability module.
Cannabis tourist guides, as we have been mentioning, are an integral piece of this industry. So they need to be able to design, understand all of these regulations, safety and health aspects, communication, hospitality. But for what? To, of course, be able to actually either produce a project, an experience, an activity, an event, but sell it. Either sell it or share it or have some people come. In that sense, we need to focus in marketing. But we cannot forget about sustainability. We are a planet-based project. We are a planet-based certification. We love our planet, and we would love for our children and a lot of generations to come to continue living in this beautiful place. So definitely, we need to be able to teach our guides how to sell their project and how to sell it in a way that is responsible and amicable with the planet. Now, one of the good things about this module is that if people really take advantage of it, they end up with a very good publicitary campaign for whatever experience they are constructing during the module. And also they are taught about AI. So we know that AI is all around. We know that everyone is using Chat GPT as they were using Google before, which is to even ask, I don't know, what's the weather today. But there's so much more to AI that can be helpful for tourist guides in our area of cannabis right now. It's a whole world in terms of building projects, building experiences, knowing about laws, updates, being able to interact. So in this module, we focus on that. We teach them to use these AI tools to actually produce the marketing and sustainable, the marketing plan and the sustainable activity that we will be looking for. It's the closure of the course. So definitely this involves all of the previous modules put into a tangible thing that people will be able to take out to the public.
Wonderful. So last question for today. I want to thank you both for being here again. How can listeners enroll or collaborate or get or enroll in getting their certification course? Where can they find out more information about this?
Well,
Okay.
we would love to hear about everyone. So you guys can reach us in Instagram at green_tourist guide. That would be green_tourist guide. And guys, unfortunately, we had another Instagram before, which was cannabis tourist guide certification and censorship, and Instagram closed it. So that's why right now we cannot even use the word cannabis in our name to avoid censorship again. But you guys can reach us there, green_tourist guide in Instagram, or you can visit our website, which is worldcannabistouristguide.com. worldcannabistouristguide.com. We'll be super happy to answer anyone's questions. We would love to really have this community of tourist guides grow around the world and really project good experiences and love to everyone who visits. This is becoming global. Let's do it right. It's ganja time. Let's spread the love and let's go to amazing, elevated destinations.
Mariano, any last comments?
Yes. Well, thank you for all this place and space. Thank you, Berito, for helping me in this moment, because for me, alone is going to be very difficult. So thank you to be part of this of this certification. Thank you, Brian, to give the space for the certification. I want to add that the mission of the certification, that when you make me the question first, I forget to say that we have a double way to of the people who came to our certification, because the people who finish our certification can be part of a project, so they can go and to a project and say, well, I'm certificated in this place, I can work with you. Or the people who don't want to work in a project and want to make her own project, they have all the tools to do alone. So this is very important to know, the people who came, that they are not going to finish and they are going to only go to work to a place if it is open. No, you can do your own project. You have all the tools, and we give all the creativity and all our experience in classes to really produce your own project. So when the people finish the first module, the second module, the third module, fourth and five, in the 2 weeks, because one part is theoric and the other is practice, so the people can make the integrative work, and when they finish, they say, okay, I have my own project. I can start to do alone, or I can go to sell and promote my project, or I can go to work to luxury hotel who is opening, and they can be part of a very networking that we are growing with around the world. So I think it's very important this part to say, because
Wonderful.
maybe the people only know that they came and finished and they have to wait if someone called him to work. No. You have the tools to do it alone. And we say all the classes this.
Right.
We are trying to promote both things.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both. I mean, amazing the work that you're both doing, and these certification programs and helping to really represent the plant and make the effort. Just very important work, and tourism is a really important space in this new landscape today. So thank you both for being here. Travel Tuesday is brought to you by Beard Bros Media Network, where culture meets industry. I'm your host, Brian Applegarth. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next month for another episode of Travel Tuesday. Bye, Mariano. Bye, Veronica. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, Brian.